Lean Tossup doesn't like me very much. They do not like me at all. They called me a fool on Twitter. So, Lean Tossup is a model. I'm turning into Chris Collinsworth, but they're a model. They predict presidential elections. They also predict the Senate, all that kind of thing. They have Texas as a Biden state. So I went on Twitter. I have a Twitter, by the way. I think I have like 69 or 70 followers. Please follow if you haven't already. I'm at unbiased electee2. There's someone who has the unbiased electee1 handle. I don't know how they got that, but whatever. So just follow me, 69 followers. Unbiased election predictions. Link is in the description. So please follow me. So, Lean Tossup, I added them in this tweet. I said they basically called out people who were quoting the early vote because, according to Target Smart, the Democrats are behind in the Texas early vote, and they were like, "Okay." By the way, I don't condone the profanity. I try to keep that out of my videos as much as possible, but I essentially said, "Okay, Texas to Texas for Biden. That's great, whatever." But what we do know is that Republicans in Texas are murdering the Democrats in the early vote, according to Target Smart. And it looks insurmountable because more Republicans are expected to vote on Election Day. At Lean Tossup has Texas as a Biden state. Mark my words, Trump wins Texas by at least 5, and I still stand by that for the record. So I retweet them. And I get a bunch of hate, let's try to find some. Thanks for the laugh, How is that insurmountable? I think they misunderstood me. No, for the love of God. That thread was not friendly to me. But essentially, Lean Tossup retweeted me. They tweet a lot. I have to put serious effort into finding this. Here we go. It's somewhere below these maps. Oh, and they say, okay, Texas doesn't have party registration, you fool. Let me close the door. They don't like me very much. But they're like, okay, they don't have party registration. They're right. But I did say, according to Target Smart, I should have clarified that, but I did, again. And I had to clarify that in a tweet, and people were calling me a Trump supporter. For the record, I don't express my political views and my predictions. I'm not a Trump supporter, for those of you who don't know, but they don't like me very much. So we're going to do an analysis of their models. So I've already done the labor of love and filled out the electoral map according to their prediction using margins. Yes, I even did margins. Because it's important that we dive into those. We can, I disagree with them strongly on the state of Florida. That kind of thing. So, what am I going to say? So we're going to take a look at our safe states. I've already filled out the safe states for my projection. We'll do the blue states first. Starting with the state of Virginia, which I have as likely. We'll go and put that as likely because why not? They have it as Biden is winning by 16%. So I pulled up the data we've seen from 538, specifically the polls. Yeah, Biden's up by 12. He's gonna win Virginia handily. However, here's the deal. The polls in 2016 underestimated Trump by 2 to 3%, so it was significant, but not significant enough to flip the state in his favor. And Biden is pulling a lot better than Clinton. Virginia is trending blue. This is essentially Donald Trump doesn't have a chance of winning Virginia. This is a safe state for Biden. But what I'm trying to say is they're assuming that Biden wins the state by 16%. And they're assuming that the polls underestimate the Democrats by 4%, which is unlikely. I think they'll actually overestimate Democrats by more than they did in 2016, or the same amount. I think Biden's going to win Virginia by 7-8%. So, yeah, but they seem to think that this is pretty solid, and it is solid for Biden. But we're not going to see, if I'm being honest, we're not going to see Joe Biden win the state of Virginia by insane margins. It's just not going to happen. There are a lot of gun owners who are going to vote against him. Not all of them, but a small portion of the electorate. So when we talk about Virginia, I can respect that, but this state is not as safe for Joe Biden as people think. And I've been saying this for a while. I think it'll be a little closer than people think, but it's still a very safe Biden state. I know I'm sounding kind of contradictory right now, or I'm contradicting myself, but what I'm trying to say is this is a solid Biden state, but it's not going to be as solid as people think. So with that out of the way, we can talk about the state of New Mexico, which they have, I think, Biden up by 20%. I'm not sure about this. And to be fair to them, they were actually fairly accurate in 2019. I was accurate too. I didn't have a channel, so I can't prove it. Like, unless you go to my school and, like, ask all my friends, which you probably won't do. But I did predict that Andy Beshear would win the 2019 Kentucky gubernatorial race. I actually did average out the polls, and I made a model, and the model put Beshear up by 1%. I think he actually won by, like, 3% or something like that. But anyways, yeah. So Biden is ahead, according to Lean Tossup, by 20%. And they essentially use only the polls, and, like, literally their logo is literally just about polls. It's polls change. That's why we're here. So, yeah, they're pretty reliant on polls. I don't only use polls. I use mail-in vote data, which they don't use. I use primary turnout, and I also use other models. So, yeah, but they're essentially looking at the polling data, and they're saying, okay, let's go to New Mexico, and let's give. By the way, I actually adjust the polls for how accurate they were in 2016, for the record, in 2018. New Mexico, if I can find New Mexico. So they say, okay, well, Biden's ahead by 12. Let's give him 8%. And I'm being pretty unfair to them. But honestly, Biden ahead by 20 in New Mexico. New Mexico is more competitive than people think. Biden has a Latino problem. I will concede that. But we also have to remember that this state, there were a lot of Gary Johnson voters in 2016. I think he got like 10% of the vote here, maybe even 15. I don't even remember because Glenn won by 8. You got 48% of the vote. So quick math, maybe Gary Johnson got 10% of something like that. At best 12%. But either way, there are going to be a lot of Johnson. Obviously, the Libertarians are not going to have as big of a presence. Gary Johnson was the former governor of the state, and he was a strong candidate for the Libertarian Party. Joe Jorgensen is not as strong as Gary Johnson. So Jorgensen is going to, in all likelihood, underperform Gary Johnson considerably. And she'll lose votes to both Trump and Biden, mostly Trump. We're going to see, because Libertarians, I've said this before and I'll say it again, they're conservatives at heart, and they're going to vote conservative. Most of them are going to go to Trump. I think it'll see like 60 to 65% of them go for Trump. Some of them are going to vote Jorgensen, and then a good percent, like 1 out of every 4 are going to go to Biden just because they're more anti-Trump conservatives. And that's why a lot of people voted for Gary Johnson, not because they were libertarians, just because of the fact that they hated both Trump and Clinton. So this is not a lesser of two evils election. It's a referendum on Trump, and all that's not good for him. But going back to New Mexico, I kind of veered off topic. Biden's a Latino problem. He'll win it by 10%, not 20%. Same with the Colorado. Clinton, they're counting on a 10-point swing from 2016. Clinton won by 5. Biden's going to win by 10 or 11. Same thing. The polls did underestimate the Democrats in 2016. They did it again in 2018. I guess you could say it's by 15. It's not completely. I think New Mexico's a little wacky, not Colorado. So now we're going to move on. So we've already touched on these two states. These are both likely. But now we're going to move on. The Rust Belt. Oh boy. Actually, no. We still have their likely Republican states. I got way too ahead of myself there. Okay, so they seem to have a bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 safe states, in my opinion, as likely Republican. They put Trump ahead in Montana by only 6. I don't know how that's going to happen. Utah, I can respect that. But Kansas, only 6? What is this the Senate race? No. This is the presidential race. In Missouri, I can respect that. That actually does make sense. Indiana, I can respect that. But look at Louisiana. Oh my gosh. Trump had by 5.8. How much did he win it by in 2016? He won it by like 20%. 2016 Louisiana results. I spelled that wrong. Yeah, but I don't really care. He won it by 20%. I was right. And they're putting him ahead by... They're counting on a 14% swing. I did not see that happening. Same with Mississippi. Again, it is going to swing to the left. And most of the country is going to swing to the left compared to 2016. But how do you see Trump only winning this by 9%? I mean, he has a very strong base here. They're going to turn out for him whether you like it or not. So that's just simply not accurate. All right, now we're gonna go and talk. So we've got through these. I kind of rushed through these. Montana and Louisiana make literally no sense to me. Nor does Kansas. I think Kansas is going to Trump by 15 to 20%. I mean, he won it by. Let's see how much he won it by. He won it by 21%. So they're counting on a 15% swing. Again, I don't like to swing this. Like, I think the electorate is, 3-4% more Democratic at a nationwide level than it was in 2016. And you can say, okay, well, you can apply that to Kansas, and it's a solid swing towards the Democrats. Yeah, but not a 15% swing, for the love of God. So we've already gotten through these states. South Carolina, we'll do that briefly. They have it as the likely Trump hold. He'll win it by 6. I can respect that. I don't think it's really. I think they're being way too generous to Biden, but they're looking at the polls, and I think polls are good. I think they're important to look at. They give you a snapshot, and they're accurate. But we have to remember that you can't only look at the polls, and that's what you get. You get a similar result. Like Trump had by 7.8. You get a result, and then give it. I don't know how they got it 1% to the left, but I need to close out of that tab. So yeah, and now we're going to move on to Alaska, which I don't think they really. I think they might even have that as lean. Hopefully not. Okay, I would have been really confused if they had that as lean, but they had Trump ahead by 6. I can respect that. That's fine with me. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our leaning states, or for them, likely state. The whole Rust Belt is leaning towards Biden, with the exception of Ohio and Indiana, if you count this word, the Rust Belt. We don't really need to explain my methodology. This is a criticism of their model. They can do one of mine. They can make fun of me all they want. But they have Biden ahead by a safe margin in Minnesota. That's safe margin. Okay, the polls in Minnesota look great for Biden. I'm not disputing he's not. I'm not saying he's not going to win here. I think he's going to win. But he's ahead by 8%. Like, please. They underestimated him in 2016. They're probably going to do it again by 3-4%. And I'm being generous to Trump there, so I'll give them credit for that. But how do you have Biden ahead by 12? Even Obama in 2012 didn't. He won it by like 7%. Wisconsin, that is, I don't know about that. And then Michigan, 11.5, almost safe. Michigan is being safe. You cannot give these states that went to the president in 2016. You cannot have them as safe. I don't care what the political climate is. Likely is the furthest I'm going to go in flipping any states, whether it be to red or blue. Michigan, Biden's ahead by 8.1, a similar margin. I think is that the same as Minnesota. That's weird. Wow. Okay, so the same margin in Michigan and Minnesota, 8.1, and they're counting on the polls overestimating him. You heard me right. They're overestimating the president. Apparently, that was completely wrong in 2016. It was the other way around. Michigan and Wisconsin polls. They're counting on the polls in Wisconsin being, I think, 100% accurate. Let's see what there's being basically 100% accurate. I don't see that happening. Now, going over to Pennsylvania. And by the way, for the record, people who think that I'm a Trump supporter, and I've clarified this at the beginning of the video, I think. I've had to film this video like 3 times. It might have been in another deleted version of this video. But seriously, people who say that I'm a Trump supporter, that's not true. I do not support Donald Trump. If I could vote, I probably would not vote for him. But going back to Pennsylvania and the whole Rust Belt, I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love for them to, on November 4th, add me on Twitter and say, unbiased election predictions, you're an idiot. Biden won Wisconsin by 8%. He won Michigan by 12%. He won Minnesota by 12%. He won Pennsylvania by 9%. I'd love to have that happen. I'd be wrong, but I'd be wrong in a good way. But I don't think that's going to happen. Now, the early vote data looks great for the Democrats in Pennsylvania. But please, by 9%, I just don't know how you can have that. Are you really going to say that he's going to win by Obama as 2012 margins? No, the Rust Belt is trending red, and that's a fact. It's not debatable. Same as Georgia and Arizona are trending blue. So yeah, now New Hampshire, they have Biden up by nearly 12%. I don't know about that. It's a lean Biden state. Biden performed horribly in the primary. Yeah, he split votes with Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg, but Bernie Sanders still won, even with underperforming expectations. So now going over to the lean Trump states. Oh, Texas is likely Trump. I don't even. Texas is just I don't know. They talk about the polls, but the polls in Texas don't even show Biden leading. They have Trump ahead by 2. And I get that the polls underestimate Biden and Clinton in Texas, but come on, how does, this looks like a best case scenario to me. And even 4% is generous. So, again, I'd love to be proven wrong. That's just my personal opinion. But this is not realistic. So, Texas, likely Republican. What else? What else do we got? We got to do Maine at large. I think we agree. Whatever. I don't really have the energy to talk about Maine. But we're going to go into the lean Democratic states. And by the way, they seem to be thinking We'll talk about that later. You get so sidetracked with this stuff. Nevada. Biden up by 9. He has a Latino problem. I get that the polls are pretty bad in Nevada for the Democrats. They usually underestimate them considerably, so that's not horrible. Like, if you want to say, okay, the polls have Biden headed by 7 in Nevada, they underestimated him by 3% in 2016. 7 plus 3 is 10. Subtract 1 because Latino problems. 9.5. I don't think that's how they do it, but based on the nonsensical data from them that we're seeing, I'm gonna have to assume that's what they're doing. Because if you're putting Biden ahead by 10 in Nevada, I just don't see that happening. So Nevada is a lean Democratic state. Same with Arizona, which they seem to be thinking is likely, as you can tell on my electoral map right here. But 8%. I don't even think Mark Kelly's gonna win by that much. So yeah, I really don't think that Arizona is going to flip by 8%. We're counting on an 11.5% swing from to the left from 2016. I will concede there will be a swing to the left, certainly in Arizona at least. That will be considerable. Probably half of that, though. It'll probably be a 5 to 7% swing, not an 11-point swing. So, yeah. Arizona, again, Biden is good with the moderate vote, and he's good with the suburban vote, and he's okay with the Latino vote overall. He's not great for a Democrat, but Arizona by 8, I don't see that happening. So we've already talked about Texas. Let's go to Nebraska's 2nd district. We'll have to look at the polls there. 538. Nebraska's 2nd district. Biden's up by 6.5. That's fine with me. But I think they have this essentially the same margin. So, it's not really a model. Like, it's just looking at the polls and then updating it based on the polls. So, they're giving Trump flack here, or they're giving Biden flack here. They're giving him a better chance at winning than the polls have him at. So, that's all right. Again, since it's only like a minor margin disagreement, I can live with that. But yeah. What else is lean? Iowa and Ohio, we disagree on that. And Florida is the big one that we're going to talk about in a second. But Iowa and Ohio, they give what? And by the way, they give Biden a 77% chance of winning Texas. I don't know about that. But they give Biden a 70% chance of winning Iowa and a 67% chance of winning Ohio. I highly doubt that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see the exact opposite. I think it's more like Trump is 2 and 3 in both these states rather than Biden. But again, if you want to solely look at the polls from Iowa, they do have Biden ahead. Okay. In the state of Ohio, the polls in Ohio underestimate Democrats, and they're putting Trump ahead. I don't think that these states are going to go for Biden. And then Maine's 2nd district, I think they have this as a lean Biden district. These are hard to analyze, so I'll give them some flack on that. But come on, Biden. I don't think he's going to win there. So yeah. Now we're going to move over to North Carolina and Georgia, which they have as likely / lean Biden pickups. They have different characterizations than me. I can live with that. North Carolina, I think that is a Biden state. So, Biden is going to win there. But I want to say this. This model in Georgia does not take voter suppression into account. That's all I'm going to say. Voter suppression is going to happen. Georgia is going to be red. Now Florida. Oh, boy. Hopefully that's all. Florida. This is now in the Trump-Pence column, by the way. I think I should update you guys on Twitter about that. But Florida, they have likely Biden. Likely Biden. Oh, my gosh. Likely Biden. Biden, 85% chance of winning Florida. The state is a pure toss-up at best for each candidate. It's tilt. Actually, no, wrong characterization. This state will go to Donald Trump. He'll win it by less than 0.1%. He'll win it by a couple hundred votes by 2,000-esque margins. And yeah, that's essentially it. I don't really see because the polls in Florida are pretty accurate. They actually underestimate Republicans by a tiny bit. Doesn't really matter though. And the polls have Biden hit by 1.5%. So if you're giving Biden 3.5%, I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. Again, I've already read their long articles about how the model works. They basically just do polling. So yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, this is kind of a rush video because I wanted to get this out. It came to my head. I'll probably double upload until the election because why not? And I'm not as busy as I thought I would be. So Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Follow the Twitter. See you all in the next one.